slipping and sliding off the racetrack, and we're just thankful we got back.
Marcos Ambrose drove to victory Sunday at historic Watkins Glen International in what may have been one of the craziest finishes to a Sprint Cup race ever. When the white flag flew, Kyle Busch was leading just ahead of Brad Keselowski and Ambrose. On the ensuing lap, the leader slid in oil, got a tap from the Miller Lite Dodge, allowing the other two to pass. It was then a two-man race, as Ambrose and Keselowski smacked bumpers and even slid off into the grass of the inner loop in their frenzied fight. In the final turn, Keselowski tried one last move but slid in oil as the happy Tasmanian darted by, crossing the finish line for the second time in as many years and collecting his second Sprint Cup career victory in Sunday's Finger Lakes 355 at the Glen. Driving for Richard Petty Motorsport, the road racing specialist called the final moments of the race absolute chaos.
The three cars were very evenly matched. Cole got some a head start on us there, and I was trying to chase him, and I burnt my tyres off it, and I really burned off the brakes, and thought, man, I'm going to be stuck here in second, and all of a sudden I'm starting to slide around on some oil, and couldn't work out where it was coming from, whether it was from my car or if it was on the track. And then I saw Kyle backing up to us, and then Brad got past me, and it was just absolutely crazy at the end.
After Busch slipped up the track, Keselowski got into his rear, sending the M&M's Toyota back to 7th, while the Penske Racing driver focused on trying to keep Ambrose behind him.
And we got to the carousel and drove in there and slipped up again, and I looked at him, and he was slipping up, and I turned back down to the bottom to get going, and I must have hit the oil spot one more time, and I slipped up. He didn't.
Hendrick Motorsports' Jimmy Johnson, who ended up third despite the chaotic conditions on the track, matched his best finish at Watkins Glen, set in 2007.
Next to last lap was really the most difficult because we were discovering where the oil was. In this white flag lap, I made some good adjustments, all except for turn 11 to dodge the oil, and slipped pretty bad, almost crashed, and the 15 and a few others were coming quick at that point. But just a wild last couple laps. Sonoma winner Clint Boyer wound up 4th, followed by Sam Hornish Jr. in 5th. Greg Biffle had another strong run to end up 6th, followed by Busch and Matt Kenseth in 8th. With his third-place finish, Johnson moves up to the top spot in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series standings. Biffle tucked into 2nd, 1 point behind Johnson, while Kenseth slipped to 3rd, 1 point behind his Roush Fenway Racing teammate. After a late spin in the oil, Dale Earnhardt Jr. dropped to 4th in the standings, 17 behind the leader, and jumping up 2 spots to 5th, Keselowski is now 44 points behind Johnson. Next week, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series heads to the Irish Hills and the wide-open spaces of Michigan International Speedway for the Pure Michigan 400.